The house was already half gone when Derek pulled her from the flames, and the first thing she said to him shattered everything he thought he knew about the worst night of his life. If you think you know where this is going, you don't. Hit subscribe because this story will haunt you. Derek Coleman had been a firefighter for 12 years. He'd seen buildings collapse. He'd carried children from smoke-filled rooms. He'd held people as they died. But he'd never saved someone who recognized him. The call came in at 2:47 a.m. Residential fire. Oakwood Street. Possible victim inside. Derek's crew arrived in 4 minutes. The house was a 2-story colonial. Flames were pouring from the upstairs windows. The neighbors were standing in their yards, some were filming on their phones. Derek ignored them. He pulled on his gear and followed Captain Harris toward the entrance. "Second floor," Harris shouted over the roar of the fire. "Neighbor says there's a woman who lives alone." Derek nodded. He grabbed his axe and headed up the stairs. The smoke was thick, black. It burned his lungs even through his mask. He moved through the hallway, checking each room. Bathroom, empty. Bedroom, empty. And then he found her. She was in the last bedroom, collapsed next to the window. She'd been trying to open it. Derek dropped beside her. Check for a pulse. It was there. Weak, but there. He lifted her. She was light. Too light. The ceiling groaned above them. Derek ran. He made it down the stairs as part of the roof collapsed behind him. Debris rained down. Heat seared his back, but he didn't stop. He burst through the front door and carried the woman to the ambulance. Paramedics swarmed immediately. Derek stepped back. His hands were shaking. They always did after a rescue. He watched the paramedics work. Oxygen mask, IV. They were talking to her. She was conscious. And then she looked at Derek. Really looked at him. Her eyes went wide, not with gratitude, with something else. Recognition, and then fear. She grabbed the paramedic's arm, said something Derek couldn't hear. The paramedic frowned, looked at Derek, looked back at the woman. Derek felt something cold settle in his stomach. The woman kept staring at him. Her lips were moving, forming words. Derek moved closer. He needed to hear. The paramedic held up a hand. "Sir, she needs space." But the woman shook her head violently. She pulled off her oxygen mask. "You," she gasped. "I know you." Derek froze. "Ma'am, you need to keep the mask on," the paramedic said, but she ignored him. She was still looking at Derek. 17 years ago, she said. Her voice was rough from smoke. "You were there." Derek's heart stopped. "You were just a kid," she continued. 15, maybe 16, and you were standing on the sidewalk, watching." Derek couldn't breathe. "There was a fire," she said. "Different house, different street, but you were there. I saw you." The world tilted. Derek knew exactly what fire she was talking about, because it was the fire that killed his father. The paramedic was trying to put the oxygen mask back on her, but she pushed it away. "I was the dispatcher that night," she said. "I took the 911 call from your mother." Derek felt like he'd been punched. "Ma'am, you really need to calm down," the paramedic said, but she wouldn't stop. She was crying now, tears mixing with soot on her face. "I told her help was coming," she said. "I told her to stay calm. I told her the firefighters would be there in minutes." Derek's legs felt weak. He grabbed the side of the ambulance. "But they weren't," she whispered. "They were delayed. There was another call across town, a false alarm, and by the time they got to your house—" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Derek remembered the smell of smoke, his mother screaming, the sound of sirens that came too late. His father had been trapped in the basement. He'd gone down to check the furnace. The fire started in the kitchen, spread too fast. By the time the firefighters arrived, the house was engulfed. They'd pulled his father out, but he was already gone. Derek had watched from across the street, frozen, unable to move, unable to help. That was the night he decided to become a firefighter, so he could save people, so no one else would have to watch their parent die while feeling completely powerless. "Why are you telling me this?" Derek asked. His voice sounded hollow. The woman closed her eyes. "Because I lied." Derek's blood ran cold. "What?" "The call that delayed the response," she said. "It wasn't random. It was deliberate." The paramedic stopped what he was doing. He was listening now, too. "What are you saying?" Derek asked. The woman opened her eyes. They were filled with guilt and pain. "My son called it in," she said. "The false alarm. He was 18. Stupid. High. He thought it would be funny to call in a fake fire and see how long it took for trucks to show up." Derek felt rage building in his chest. He didn't know, she continued quickly. He didn't know there was a real fire happening on the other side of town. He didn't know someone would die because the trucks went to his fake call first. Derek's hands were shaking, not from adrenaline anymore, from anger. "I found out what he'd done the next day," she said. "I was working the dispatch desk when the report came in. When I saw the timestamps, when I realized—" Her voice broke. "I should have reported him," she said. "I should have told the truth. But he was my son, and I was terrified of what would happen to him. So I buried it. I changed the records, made it look like the calls came in at different times." Derek couldn't speak. He couldn't think. "I've lived with that guilt every single day for 17 years, she said. "I left the dispatch center 6 months after it happened. Couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't hear another emergency call without thinking about your father." The paramedic looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, maybe you should save this conversation for later." But Derek held up his hand. "No, let her finish." The woman wiped her face. "I followed your life," she said. "I know that sounds creepy, but I needed to know what happened to the boy who lost his father because of my cowardice. I saw you became a firefighter. I saw you save people. And I was proud and devastated at the same time." She reached for Derek's hand. He pulled away. "When I saw you tonight," she said, "when you carried me out of that house, I knew. I knew it was you. And I knew I had to tell you the truth, because you saved my life, and I helped destroy yours." Derek turned away. He couldn't look at her anymore. Captain Harris appeared beside him. "Coleman, you good?" Derek shook his head. "I need a minute." He walked away from the ambulance, away from the burning house, away from the woman who just turned his entire world upside down. He sat on the curb 2 houses down, put his head in his hands. His father's death hadn't been an accident. Not really. It had been caused by someone's stupid prank, by a mother's cowardice, by a system that failed. And Derek had spent 17 years trying to make up for something that should never have happened. Footsteps approached. Derek looked up. The woman was there. She'd wrapped herself in a blanket. The paramedics must have let her go for a moment. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "I don't deserve it, but I needed you to know the truth." Derek stared at her. "What happened to your son?" She flinched. "He died 3 years after the fire. Drug overdose. He never knew what his prank had done. I never told him. That's another thing I'll have to live with." Derek felt a strange emptiness. He'd been angry at the universe for 17 years, at fate, at bad timing. But there had been someone to blame all along. And that person's son had paid too. Why tonight? Derek asked. Why tell me now? The woman looked back at her burning house. Because I was going to die in there. I could feel it. And I thought maybe that was justice. That maybe I deserved to burn the way your father did. Derek stood up. Don't say that. Why not? She asked. It's true. Because my father wouldn't want that, Derek said. His voice was hard. And neither do I. The woman stared at him. How can you say that? How can you not hate me? Derek didn't answer right away. He didn't know how he felt. Anger, grief, betrayal. It was all tangled together. I should hate you, he said finally. Part of me does. But another part of me realizes that hating you won't bring my father back. It won't change anything. The woman started crying again. I'm so sorry. Derek looked at her. Really looked at her. She was maybe 55. Gray hair, deep lines around her eyes. She looked like someone who'd been carrying a heavy weight for a very long time. What's your name? Derek asked. Pamela, she said. Pamela Foster. Pamela, Derek repeated. I need you to do something for me. She nodded. Anything. I need you to go to the fire department tomorrow. I need you to tell them what you told me. All of it. The false alarm, the cover-up, everything. Pamela went pale. They'll investigate. There could be charges. I know, Derek said, but it's the right thing to do. And you know that. Pamela was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, I'll do it. Good, Derek said. They stood there in the pre-dawn darkness. The fire behind them was under control now. The flames had died down to embers. I don't forgive you, Derek said. I can't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Pamela nodded. I understand. But I'm glad you're alive, Derek continued. I'm glad I pulled you out of that house. Because everyone deserves a chance to make things right. Pamela's face crumpled. She covered her mouth with her hand. Derek turned to walk away, but Pamela called after him. Derek! He stopped, looked back. Your father would be proud of you, she said, for saving me, for choosing mercy over revenge, for being the man he raised you to be. Derek felt tears sting his eyes. He didn't respond, just nodded and walked back to his crew. Captain Harris was waiting. You okay? No, Derek said honestly, but I will be. The next day, Pamela Foster went to the fire department. She told them everything. The investigation that followed lasted 3 months. The original dispatcher who'd signed off on the false report was long retired. But the records were still there, hidden, altered. The truth came out. The department issued a formal apology to Derek's family. They changed protocols, added safeguards to prevent false alarms from being prioritized. It didn't bring Derek's father back, but it meant something. Derek visited Pamela once after the investigation closed. She was living in a small apartment. Her insurance was covering it while her house was rebuilt. How are you? Derek asked. Surviving, Pamela said. That's about all I can manage right now. Derek nodded. That's enough. They talked for an hour. About guilt, about grief, about the weight of secrets. And when Derek left, he realized something. He felt lighter. Not happy, not healed, but lighter. The truth had hurt, but it had also freed something inside him. Something that had been locked away for 17 years. 6 months later, Derek spoke at a fire safety conference. He told the story, not all of it, but enough. He talked about false alarms, about the ripple effects of careless actions, about accountability. And he talked about forgiveness, not as something you do for other people, but as something you do for yourself. because carrying hatred is exhausting, and sometimes the only way to move forward is to put the weight down. Derek never fully forgave Pamela, but he didn't hate her either. She'd lived with guilt for 17 years. That was punishment enough. And Derek had learned something important. The world wasn't divided into heroes and villains, just people, flawed, broken, trying their best. Sometimes their best wasn't good enough. Sometimes people made terrible choices that destroyed lives. But sometimes those same people spent the rest of their lives trying to make amends. And maybe that was worth something too. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more powerful true stories about forgiveness, redemption, and the complexity of being human. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below and tell us about a time you chose mercy over anger. Your story might help someone else heal.